Alright, so I'm going to do the assembly in this video. For an assembly, you need a standard IAM file. Hit create. I'm not going to hit create because I already have one open, but standard IAM. Okay. So when it opens, it's going to look like this. You are going to want to go to place, and then you're going to want to find the folder where you put all your work. So all my work's in my puzzle project, that is where your work should be. And we're going to start, this is very important, you start by putting the base in first. So I don't care what else you put in, but we're putting the base in first. I'm actually going to go over a couple of things with this. Now when the base goes in, it should go in looking like this. See that? Where the top looks like this? If your base doesn't look like this, if your top looks like this, for example, before you put it in, what you need to do when it's hovering like this, you need to right click and figure out which axis you need to rotate it in before you place it. That's very important. But mine was right. I got it in there, so I'm good. Okay. So now that my base is right, I'm going to right click on it, and this is very important, and we are going to ground it. That means this piece can no longer move around, no matter how hard I try. So once again, that was right clicking, and make sure grounded is checked. This is the only piece we ground. So I'm going to put 2 long sides in. I'm going to put 2 short sides in, and hopefully this will all go together well. Now, I think I might have an error on these. Let me just double check. I do. So remember, when we did these drawings, they were supposed to be 3/16, not 1/4 of an inch. And I'm updating that right now. This is something that you just got to double check on yours to make sure that they are both in fact 3/16. So now mine are all 3/16. So we should be good. So I'm going to be able to assemble these. Now, assembling is a little more difficult. So I'm going to actually assemble all of this first. I'm going to do that with the constrain tool. Now, there's a couple ways to constrain depending on who you talk to. You can do faces to faces, which means I'd like do this face to like this face, and then this face to like that face. Or you can do edges, which means I'd do like this edge, and then I'd zoom around and do it to the other edge. And that's what I like to do. So I'm going to do edges. So I'm going to do this edge, and if I look at this thing, I know I want that edge on this edge right here, when it's inserted all the way, to go to there. I'm going to click apply. So I've got that edge to that edge. And now I want this edge to go to this edge. So I'm going to do that for both my long sides. Now, this one I've got to look at. So this one is facing this side. So that means this edge right here should go to the bottom edge on this. So when I look at it upside down, that edge here should go to the bottom edge that corresponds with it. Click apply, and then this edge would go here. So that's my two long sides, and by getting the long sides in first, I can kind of cheat this up a little on the short sides, because I know, like, for example, this side, I can click apply, and then that will let me rotate it, because now that edge is connected there. And if I go to constrain again, I can do this edge to that edge. And if I go look at this now, it is firmly positioned, because these are all grounded off of the grounded base. I can do the same thing on this. I know this edge, for example, is going to go to this edge. Hit apply. You do have to rotate it to go the right way. Now you see, I didn't actually get that right. That was a mistake. If you make a mistake, you can delete it. So I actually wanted this edge to go to that edge. So I actually wanted this edge to go here. So just checking that it's all right. Okay, it looks good. And now I'm going to go back to constrain and do this edge to that edge. So that's all the puzzle. That's the base together. Now I'm going to place each of my puzzle pieces in once. So I'm going to grab, I've got 5 of them, so I'm going to grab all 5. You can do it at once, or you can do it individually. To do it at once, I just click on the first one and then hold shift and go to the bottom one. I'm going to click open. I'm going to drop all 5 in there. Now I need to put all these together, and I have a couple ways to go about that. So I could actually start putting them together based off of this. And I think that's probably the best thing to do. So I'm going to figure out where I want this piece kind of in my lower corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to constrain this piece like this to here. And then I'm going to say, hey, I want, whoopsies, whoopsies. I want that edge on that edge. And I want this edge on this edge. Once I've done that, everything else I can kind of just attach to this piece. And to do that, I kind of try, oops, I did not want to round that. To do that, I kind of try to rotate these to all match up, so I'm going to do some free rotating here. Because this piece, I believe I want to go kind of like this. So I just try to get the pieces close to where I want. Like I know I want this edge connected to that edge. Oof. No, I want that edge connected to that edge. So I get that piece in there. What's next? I know this piece. I'm going to want this edge connected to that edge. And I'm going to rotate it. And I want this edge connected to this edge. It's very good. This piece is just going to slide on in there. So this edge here, I'm going to rotate. Ooh, ooh. That'll work. Get this edge connected to that edge. Good. And this guy is probably the easiest. That edge. Hit apply. Let's get some rotation on her. And we're going to constrain the top to the top. So that is pretty good. As you can see, we do have a little room. The reason we have a little room is because of the way our thing is designed. We want a little room. But if we did not like the little room, we can go back to this part where on this mate, if we wanted, we could actually offset it just a tiny bit, like maybe 0.1. And now if we look at it, yeah, it's not perfect, but gives a gap on both sides. And then we could go back to the other mate, which is this mate. We could go to edit. We could offset it like 0.075 because the 0.1 seems a little dramatic. And then if we look at that, now if we look at it from the top, you see, yeah, it's got offset on all sides, but we do that when we're making these parts. I'm going to just go back and edit this to 0.075. We do that when we're making the parts. We make this a little bigger because I machined this on the laser. So we needed to give it a little wiggle room in case you had blocks that were slightly bigger or if our material was slightly off. So we do have some room to deal with the materials. It is not super tight fit. But this is your puzzle assembled. So I hope you have as much luck with this as I just did.